What's going on, YouTube? JT's Born here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Night Terror's Harley Quinn issue number 2. This one is written by Tini Howard, and the backup storyline is written by Leah Williams, with multiple artists working on this particular issue. So last issue, we had Harley, who was in this kind of weird state of the multiverse where she kept like living out different lifestyles, like she was like a pirate and all that other stuff. This is kind of going on simultaneously with the whole Night Terrors event, but there's really no insomnia in this thing. And I mean, you really shouldn't have even called this thing Night Terrors, all things considered, because it really doesn't do much to kind of add up to it, and it doesn't quite fit as much the horror theme as like the one I just covered, which is the Detective Comics one. So it's just a really kind of bizarre, batshit crazy issue about Harley Quinn, who's going off and doing stuff. So one thing I did like about this issue in particular is the art style. So she gets to like kind of like going through this little multiversity comic book, if you will. She goes and sees what she was like if she were a member of, say, the Justice League. And so we get to this kind of old-timey, like gold and silver, Bronze Age, whatever-esque kind of comic book art style with the little dots and all that. So seeing that in a bit of a modern comic book, I think was a nice little touch to kind of give it a distinct look and feel to it. And I think that really kind of helped elevate this comic book just a little bit. Now, the story itself is still rather confusing, especially the backup, which I have no idea what's going on in it. But it's kind of a weird state. Like, Brainiac kind of comes in at one point. He wants part of Harley Quinn's mind because it's some, like, there's some with her mind, like she's linked to, like she's traveling the multiverse and all that other shenanigans. And, you know, at this point, I kind of just miss Harley Quinn when she was Joker's girlfriend, and they just did kind of street level things together. I feel like Harley, because she's such a very popular character, has been kind of thrust into these stories where she's just not as interesting as she used to be. Now, granted, there's been some good stuff with her over the years. I mean, I'm somebody who still loves a soft spot for the Harley Quinn TV show, even though this kind of latest season's not been quite as good as seasons of the past. It just kind of feels like something's a little bit off with it, especially with like the portrayals of the Bat Family. I know I have to accept that it is a bit of a parody, but there's just something kind of off about it. But like here's kind of the same deal. Like we're kind of tapping into this like multiversal thing. Like she, like with Ivy, Brainiac wants something with her mind and all that. Like the crazier she gets, the more powerful she is. There's some stone thing here, and this lady kind of comes in, and I haven't really been reading the latest bits of Harley Quinn, so I'm a little lost on who this character is. So I feel like this is an issue where if you've been reading Harley Quinn and you want to like the current run continuously, I think you'll get more into it. But if you're like somebody who's looking just for like a Night Terrors tie-in, you're going to be completely lost in most of this thing. And like I said, I've known Harley Quinn since Batman the Animated Series. Like that's where she was first introduced. Like I know I get who she is as a character, but some of the more recent stuff, it feels like she's strayed so far from like that original like Paul Dini and Bruce Timm creation, where it's just like I kind of miss old school Harley. So maybe after this I'll go back and watch an episode of Batman the Animated Series just to kind of get that feel again, because there's something that feels kind of awful about it. But yeah, so like her character's just gone so far like in such a crazy direction. I mean, thinking she is kind of like crazy because, well, she is Harley Quinn. But yeah, so some weird multiverse stuff's going on here, and then says next up is going to continue in Final Crisis. So not going to continue in Night Terrors Night's End. Why did you even call this Night Terrors Harley Quinn 1 and 2? You should have just like not done that. I mean, like it's not even gonna like lead into like anything Night Terrors related. It's just gonna go off and do kind of the Harley Quinn stuff, which if you've been just wanting to focus on Harley Quinn, like okay, cool, but like don't even call it Night Terrors, just call it something else. Like I mean, it's kind of weird and crazy enough. You don't really need the Night Terrors element to it. There's no real insomnia in this issue, or doesn't need anything from Harley in particular. So like why do we even really have this? So I don't know, that's just kind of me. And then the backup, if anybody can understand this thing, please let me know. This one's written by Leah Williams, but like there's two versions of Harley and something's going wrong, like kind of the key to saving this multiverse stuff and all that. So like you're noticing the multiverse is kind of a factor in both these storylines, and it just, things kind of go a little bit crazy and then they just kind of sort of ends. I don't know what it's leading to. At least the other one, like the main story, feels like it's going on a bit of a cliffhanger that's going to lead to something in the main Harley Quinn book when it picks up again next month, I'm sure. But this backup storyline, I don't even really know like what the purpose of it. I don't really understand what's going on here. The artwork has a few kind of cool moments, so like this page in particular with the pinks and the way the kind of skeleton there kind of shows up. But Yeah, I mean, as a Night Terrors tie-in, I just don't really get what the point of this one is. And yeah, like some of them don't really like do much to like fit the event per se, but there still could be some more interesting stuff. Like even the Catwoman one, I like that one. Like I know Teenie Howard wrote that one, and she also wrote this one. I like the Catwoman storyline a little bit more; it's a little bit easier to follow. But I think like even the one I just like covered, the Detective Comics one, yeah, like it's not going to lead into Night Terrors Night's End or anything, but it really fit the horror theme quite well, and there's some genuinely kind of creepy and disturbing artwork that like went into it. Like this one, it's a little bit confusing, but like I said, I think the saving grace for me is kind of like this, seeing this like distinct older like comic book art style like integrated into it. So I really like that element to it. It kind of felt like a nice little throwback. I like the fact that when she kind of goes into these different multiverses, the art styles change and it kind of fits the time and the theme of it all. So all that stuff I think works quite well. But I think with Harley Quinn, I'm just kind of like, I kind of miss like the more grounded stuff with her. I feel like it's getting so like with her and like all these different stuff, it's gotten so far astray from like where Harley kind of used to be that I feel like I don't even really recognize her anymore and like the types of stories she's in. I just, like I said, I know characters evolve in that, but I just kind of miss the more street level stuff with Harley. So that's just me. Maybe this is only a temporary thing. We'll kind of get back to that, but I'm just kind of I just kind of miss the old Harley Quinn. I mean, maybe that's, I don't know if anyone else kind of feels that way or if any other fans of Harley reading this thing are kind of in the same boat as me, but I don't know, like this whole crazy multiversal stuff, it gets a little confusing, at least for me. The backup, I couldn't really tell you much about like what's going on with it, but yeah, I don't know, like this issue felt kind of off to me. It didn't really do much to kind of like add to the overall Night Terrors thing, and it wasn't really like a scary or horrifying story in general that to me really fit the theme of it's like super well. So maybe if you're reading the Harley Quinn book kind of continuously and you're enjoying it, I think you'll probably get some enjoyment out of this. But I kind of like, I've read a good chunk of that run, like from like the start of it to like a certain point. I've kind of fallen off from it a little bit, so maybe I got to go catch up and kind of reread some of the stuff to kind of get a better feel of it, because I'm looking at this perspective, okay, just like this one's titled Night Terrors Harley Quinn, how is this going to really tie into the overall event? Like what's it going to build to? Like what's it going to add up to? But it really doesn't do much. So if you're trying to read Night Terror stuff, I see you can skip this one. It just didn't really do much for me. It was a little confusing, especially with the backup storyline in here. I'm not really sure what it's really kind of leading to. But hey, that's just me. Maybe to you it all makes sense, but who knows at this point. So I wasn't too huge a fan of this one, aside from kind of the more like bronze, silver, golden age, or whatever you want to call it, like retro looking artwork that pops up at some point. So I like that. I thought that was kind of cool, and seeing the distinctly different art style, I thought that fit quite well. It's for an old-timey comic book. So that was my favorite aspect to it. And plus, like I said, you get a little bit of a like Brainiac fighting Harley, which is just so kind of weird and out there. I just wouldn't have expected that. But again, maybe it's just part of this dream thing and all that other stuff. So I don't know. It's one of those things, so I'm just kind of glad to be done talking about it. But anyways, if you read the issue, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications. Tune in next time, as I'm going to be covering Night Terrors Titans issue 2, which will conclude the Night Terrors tie-ins, and then I'll be all set for the conclusion next week. So I think the Night Terrors Titans one, I'll just kind of post that one tomorrow. And then also tomorrow night, I'm going to be on Nerd Cage Live. So I'll leave a link on the community tab on the channel to check that thing out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to talk some stuff. And who knows? We'll see what happens next. All right. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace.